Welcome to another episode of my Motor Town playthrough. Today it's time for the second part of my Lobo Odyssey. Trying to do my own food supply run here, and so far we've gotten stuck like 4 times, I don't know. This thing really isn't made for this, and it just doesn't really want to work too well. So let's see how this one goes. The next destination up ahead is Jeju City, or specifically its supermarket. I don't think there's going to be any more farms for a while, so we are going to see how much we can get out of this deal, and yeah, from that point on, it would be down to Helm and then back to Gepha, which is where we started last episode. Yeah. Since I've been using Lobos for the whole thing in single player, and specifically for my AI drivers, I decided to do this myself now, and I mean, I'm kind of regretting it. If anything, this thing only really works for on-road stuff. Off-road, it's just going to get stuck, and I've shown that quite often in the last episode. Maybe a bit more involuntarily than anything else. But yeah, we are going to continue. We are going to get the entire thing here and yeah, then go from there. I should also probably check in on my AI driver real quick. Oh yeah, that guy has been in bad condition for God knows how long. Still has something loaded, so it shouldn't be that bad. Doesn't really matter too much. I've been letting this guy run in order to help out with some container supplies. Something that I don't ever really like doing myself too much. Containers are kinda interesting, but they are also just slow and very cumbersome. So I'd rather let my AI handle the whole thing. Oh, there's another Lobo right in front of me. I wonder if we'll ever see regular AI traffic stuff without any, with trailers and that kind of thing. So I mean, right now you can basically get that through AI company stuff, but the regular stuff is just on the road randomly without any purpose. Oops, I think I rammed him. And I think I also just lost my trailer. Gotta get it back before that dude gets it. I don't know what happened there, I couldn't see anything. Maybe you guys spotted what was going on in the mirrors, but yeah. Stuff happens sometimes. So let's try and get this back. Okay, got that hooked on. And that dude just drove right into the back of my truck. And let's get back into our lane here. And then turn off into the city at the next intersection. Here we go. So I'm currently carrying 32 pallets, which is not completely full. But I don't think there's any farm nearby. We might be getting another one after we leave Jeju, but yeah, gonna get there first. Okay, here we are. I can just drive into this one, since this thing realistically would also be able to unload from the front. And there we go. Yeah, 5 corn pellets. That's not really too amazing because only 3 of them can make it into storage, but at least we are getting paid. Okay, I'm gonna drive with my mirrors here. Yeah, this thing is a navigation nightmare. How much more building do we have before we can make a turn here? I put it a bit more straight. Okay, enough. Should be alright. That's the end of the building, and I may have also run into something. Yep. Wasn't really straightened out there. The thing is, if I'm perfectly straight, I can't really see the trailer, and that's kinda really not helpful. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna turn right, and then we should be able to leave again. Simple as that. Didn't need to make it any more complicated, didn't need to get any property damage, but that's just how we roll. Very uncontrolled. Okay, let's go for another refueling stop and then head to the next farm. I think there's like 2 pumpkin farms coming up, which is kind of annoying because I would rather mix the things up. I would rather have one of the corn farms on this end of the island and the pumpkin farm on the other, but you don't always get what you want. But yeah, we should be loading up on more stuff here, and theoretically, if I just keep on loading for the next few destinations, I will never run out of stuff, and therefore I could just run this indefinitely. So basically, if I don't stop, this is my life now. I already had the same kind of feeling sometimes with some of the bus routes, because it always feels like you shouldn't be stopping the bus route if your bus is almost full. But yeah, that would also mean running the same thing over and over. There's a lot of AI company stuff going on here, which is nice to see. Also that doing a maneuver. Oh yeah, I needed to go left there. I completely forgot. We can remedy this. There's going to be another little dirt path up ahead, and I think it's smooth enough to not get stuck on. Famous last words here. I mean, I could also just turn around, but then again, there's also another paved road right after that goes the same direction, so I don't really need to do any of that. Let's just drive through here. With amazing speed. Okay, dirt path up ahead. be appropriate kind of road for this one. Okay, I can't see shit where it is. And here we go. Okay, nice to see at least a little bit further ahead. And yeah, that up there should be the farm. And yeah, the only reason this path exists is likely for idiots like me. Can't see another reason. Okay, is that how I get in there? Seems like it. So let me grab some of that produce. Okay, pumpkin pellets. We can take some, theoretically even up to Gengyang again. But yeah, there would be Geppa before that. So let's just bring over some to Geppa. I'll also load for Gengyang, but I don't think I'll be making that trip. Seonsang supermarket would be another one. And also, where is Hallam? Right there. Okay, so from here we go to Hallam, then there's another pumpkin farm over here. Overseas I don't have anything loaded for. And then it's all the way back down to Geppa. Can I just reverse out of here? I don't see why not, but the fact that I don't see anything is part of the problem. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. We may have almost ditched the trail on the other side of the road. But yeah, it worked out. Also, why am I in comfort mode? I don't really need that. He says after almost an hour in this car. Oh yeah, look, it can actually go a bit faster. But yeah, I don't think this is a great way to make money, but once again, this is just to see what I usually put my AI drivers through. They usually have a better time with this truck than me. Yeah, stuck behind a rotator. Got a fence in the face. Okay, the question is, can I overtake that guy? I should likely not attempt this, but you know what? Let's go for it. I'm pretty sure the AI is just not going to do good on these kind of roads. Like getting nowhere near to the speed limit even. Yeah, 8 kilometers in that direction might be Geppa, or must be Geppa. Everything else here will just FTC. Oh, and I almost forgot my turn. That felt risky, but it worked. Another truck right there. Okay, that one is moving on. Or at least trying. I don't want to block him, but yeah, he needs to get going. Ah, nice. Okay, and we unloaded a whole lot of stuff over here. Another 5 corn pellets. Thanks to there just being so many corn pellets after all. Corn farms, I mean. And yeah, usually if I just kept going around, I would always fully load up at the different farms, but right now I think Geppa is going to be my last destination. So I'll just end up behind that guy again. I'll just not load anything to any place after. I think for doing this manually there might be something to be said about just using a semi-truck that isn't the Lobo. I mean, maybe it's also my tune. There might be better ones out there. I'm definitely putting more weight onto the truck itself here by having the middle axle lifted from the trailer. But once again, I need to go in there and get some stuff. In terms of just getting the what the hell was I talking about? In terms of getting the maneuverability up, I don't think there's anything better to do there. So, Geppa supermarket, 3 more pallets, and we could theoretically even bring some over to one of the warehouses. Do we have anything for Oldley Gate? Yeah, let's take the entire stock there. Can't hurt. I might still have some stuff loaded for Gangyang. I don't know if I just loaded something on there. But let me check. Yeah, a few things for Gangyang, but I don't care. Corn pellets. That would be more important if I was to continue the whole thing after the first lap. But once again, I don't want this to be my life. I'm happy to do this once, but after that might be time to move over to something else. I could let the AI continue for me, just hand over the truck and that would be it. But I don't know. And there we got the rotator again. I mean, if it doesn't turn right at the next intersection, then we should just be rid of him. Because that's exactly where we need to go. I don't see any indicators, so that's nice. Here we go. It's just funny seeing other trucks on the road. I mean, in single player with my main, I have my 10 trucks and buses that are doing stuff. But there's just so much more in multiplayer, and also just the always this like question, what exactly are they doing? Because in single player, I know that truck, it's doing that exact thing. In multiplayer, it's all a lot more ominous. Also, let's have a quick look at the town bonus. Oh god, a lot of them are full. Okay, the thing is, as you've seen, there are other people's trucks doing this stuff right now, and from what I know, they might be doing more premium things. I'm always going for the low-hanging fruit, kind of literally, because I'm just going to the farms that auto-produce stuff. Other people are taking care of, for example, the water pellets, the bread pellets, cheese pellets, the thingamajig boxes, the meat stuff, I mean. That one. So, yeah, I'm not really usually a fan of that, especially when it comes to automation. At the end of the day, if you let this stuff run automatically, it's just going to waste the items because it's always going to try and keep them filled up, and yeah, there's no real purpose behind it because everybody is just minding their own business. If you were doing like a spontaneous event, just telling everybody that, hey, we don't have any coils anymore, let's just go and do stuff on OG so we can fill up the steel mill again, then it makes sense going for stuff over there just to fill up the whole thing again. But as it is, while everybody's minding their business, you can easily end up with those guys just depleting all the factories, and then if somebody really wants the stuff, there's nothing left anymore. That being said, the people who are doing this on this server are also running AI simultaneously that can replenish the stuff. So in the end, it's offset again, and therefore there isn't really much of a problem, as long as the resupplying is keeping up with the rate at which they deplete the things. So yeah, it kind of works. But in single player, I figure just running this simple route, taking care of the stuff that automatically reproduces, easiest way of handling things, and it gives me a decent amount of items. Never gonna give me the 100%, but I can always go out, get my own truck, get some pellets of something loaded up, and do the last bit on top to get the full one. So yeah, there's different ways of handling the whole thing. Then again, in single player, I'm also running my own buses, and the combination between the two, I don't really need full town bonus on everything. It works out. And it's also so expendable that in case I really need something else, like resupplying a factory, I can always justify just cutting out one of the trucks at some point and instead setting up a different one that gives me whatever I really need. Oh yeah, by the way, if you have a particular I don't know, any favorites when it comes to how you want this stuff to be run, like in first person, third person, would also be interesting to know. I don't really plan on making more first person videos, but since I've been kind of doing this for 2 episodes, let me know your what your favorite is out of them. I'm definitely open to doing this more often. I'm just kind of, for the most part, I forget about first person. I go into first person when I am on foot and need to do something specific, like look at something of like a winch cable or so, just so that's easier to reach. But other than that, for driving, I've usually been going to third person and just left it there. There, we are slowly making our way back down to Gappa over there. I can also load up on stuff for the Gappa supermarket in a bit. That would theoretically definitely overload the entire thing in terms of a town bonus, but everything is kept at 100%. So I don't think there's any harm or even benefit either in that. I mean, it would be kind of interesting if maybe the items that we're already processing needed to run out before the other ones were touched. So if I go beyond 100% and maybe cabbage is already in there and being processed, maybe then the corn is only getting touched once the cabbage is out to maintain the 100%. But I think it's just all gonna run out simultaneously with some of the stuff just not really having a tangible effect on the town bonus. But yeah, here we go. I'm going to get all the things anyways. I think there might be corn loaded up. Let me just turn on autopilot for a moment and check real quick. Gappa corn, yeah, I'm not going to load any more then. The first farm going into the town would be corn, and I don't really want to do that then. So yeah, next one, if I don't forget, I'll do a bit of tuning. Likely another Vista. I think I talked about this during the racing event. I would like to build up another off-road Vista in order to see if I can maybe start with something that isn't fully raced, doesn't have the super soft suspension, and see if that works better for me. And then go from there. And in the end, if one of them is better than the other, I might keep the better one and the other one can be converted to a road car. That's the idea. So we'll have to see when I get to that. Also, someone else on the server recently made another cup car. So we have this whole thing on the Discord, like a database for tracks and that kind of thing. And it also now includes specific tunes for spec cars. So that if we want to do racing and don't wanna faff about with the rule sets too much, we can just say, hey, everybody take that cup car, and everybody, yeah, whenever there's a new cup car made or spec car, kind of the same at this point, we should just be getting them ahead of time, so that if somebody wants to join the races, they should be ready. So yeah, right now we have 3 different cup cars, and I might show you guys all of those in a moment. We have a bit of time left. I don't think I've ever gone through them all. Also, I forgot to drop off the stuff at the gate. Dang it. Gappa supermarket, there we go. But yeah, I want to bring over some stuff to OG Gate, but at the end of the day, who cares? These things don't make much money, and just letting them despawn doesn't matter too much, because the farms are going to automatically get them regenerated, and yeah, then it's all good to go again. I just have to figure out a way to turn around again. That should do it. And yeah, when it comes to the spec cars, it's up to anybody who decides to make one, what kind of things to leave open. For example, stuff like final drive ratio is usually left open, But some of them also restrict the suspension setups and all of that. Like I made one that does it, but yeah, the last one is pretty left open in that regard, which is also kind of nice. Gappa Supermarket, here we go. But yeah, I don't even know if there's ever been any races with any of the spec cars yet. They have been a thing for a few weeks now. At least the original one, and yeah, I recently added one myself. And then now we got the other one for a few days. But yeah, I don't know if that's ever really been a factor yet. If there have been any races with these cars, I've definitely missed them. But yeah, maybe sometime soon. No, Jesus Christ. Because these things aren't only meant for events, but also just a few casual races. Okay, I'm stuck on that. Yeah, this is one of the downsides of this thing. It's not that easy to maneuver. And there's also a front overhang to the sides if you are turning in. Okay, but we got there in the end. Another 17k, which is... It's okay. It's even 17k. Can't I get out of here like that? I'm already hitting the wall there. Oh god. So I basically have to do what I did to get in here in reverse. This is one hell of a setup. This is a trap. I don't know if I can get out of here again. But hey, we got a bit of time, so I might as well try. Can't break the fences either. I mean, yeah, I can't do that. I can't just pull straight from there. So maybe if I now go a bit more like this. I would like it very much if it was daytime right now. Okay, we almost got it. Ooh. Haha. And yeah, for those wondering, the AI trucks will basically just drive on the tiny road behind the supermarket, and that's how they get to unload. Much, much easier. But you know what, for the last bit, I might show you guys the stuff more in detail the next time around. Because right now it's nighttime, so I can't even get into that much detail about it. You won't really be able to see that much. But anyways, to go over it real quickly, since I already started the topic. This is Hoki's Cup car. Don't know if it has any other name here. But yeah, this is something that I suggested to him, and you see that this is a livery that I had on my own Mickey a while ago. So I just copied it over from my other character. Actually, I have two of these. One is set up with the 150 horsepower inline 4 engine. This one is the slower one. So using the 90 horsepower. And also, does it have the turbo? Yeah, I think it has not the stage 1 turbo, but maybe just the stock turbo or something. Not entirely sure. Oh yeah, that's going up very quickly, so that must be the stock turbo. And also the intake tuning so that it makes basically 100 horsepower, almost on the dot. And this thing is not fast, but it's kind of fun. It's a bit weird because it's very bouncy in a weird way. Like there's a bit of wiggle to it, and that takes some time to get used to. But yeah, basically when it comes to slow cars, they are pretty good for some types of racing. You know what, I should really go and repair this thing real quick so that we can see it in more of its full beauty. Also get it on the road so it's a bit more easy to see what's going on. So yeah, let's see. And yeah, it wiggles quite a bit, but that's also kind of what makes it interesting. So for these cars, slow racing cars make for a lot of good side-by-side racing. Might be a bit boring on their own unless they are tuned in a way that's not perfect. So to keep things interesting, this thing is a bit handicapped in its handling. Handling characteristics on this one aren't allowed to be changed, so no suspension tuning. I think really the only thing we can do on this is the livery and final drive ratio. So very strict, very limited, but that way it's an even playing field and people won't have to waste a lot of money when they start out in order to get the perfect setup figured out. Everybody's just gonna have a shit one and that's how it is. But yeah, that also makes the stuff a bit cheaper and starter friendly because you know you need to get that car, you need to get that tune, and then you are good to go. The one that I added, that's the second one here, is the Tuscan Cup car. And my inspiration for this is stuff from the grid games and similar things. Where usually when you start out, you have this pony car championship kind of deal. So yeah, American muscle cars, all pretty old, all kind of a bit slidey, a bit wobbly, and this is what this thing represents. Not really too oversteery or anything, but let's just say that if I was to tune this for best performance, it wouldn't end up looking like this. But yeah, stock engine, naturally aspirated, in many ways slower than the Mickey Cup car that we just saw. But it works out in the end, and in my opinion, it makes for a pretty fun drive. At least somewhat interesting. And yeah, this is a livery that I sported before. I just changed the colors. Used to be yellow and red, and I didn't really like it too much. So I switched things up a little bit, and I enjoy it more as it is right now. Different tones of blue, bit of white. Yeah. Goes well hand in hand. So last one, the newest one, is the Zyno. I should also add something to the end that this is a cup car. This is made by Mess is Lore, and yeah, they just came up with this idea for a Zyno cup car, which is also using the inline 450 horsepower engine, so none of these cars are particularly fast, but this one is the fastest among them. And yeah, this feels more like a proper fast tune among all the others. Suspension has been left pretty much open, so we can optimize it how much we want and to whatever end we want. And yeah, I hope to see some racing with it soon. This is a fun one. I was thinking about a few other things as well. I would really like to have Mazda Miata kind of thing, similar to this one here, but with open top and mandatory roll cage built in. But I don't know, I didn't want to flood the whole thing with too many cars right now. I think it's better if we have a few options and get to actually race them, instead of just making people prepare more and more cars and there not being any racing going on. So I'll hold back on these ideas until a bit later. But yeah, I'm really happy with how the livery turned out. Initially I had the front part white, but I didn't really like that too much. I also considered going for carbon fiber, since there's like a full carbon fiber thing in the livery editor, or more like in the paint shop booth where there's a skin for that. Sorry, but the thing is, sadly, the whole thing doesn't come in a symmetrical pattern. So it's always kind of tilting the same direction, and I didn't like that too much. Otherwise, I would have gone for that one. So if we go in here, I would have to save it. I don't really want that. Do I still have the carbon fiber paint there? Nope. And I've also covered the entire vehicle, so I can't really show you guys without destroying this whole thing. I mean, maybe if I just turn down the... God, the whole thing gets laggy in here. If I just turn on the opacity to 0. We should be seeing the layer down below it, which right now should also be orange. Basically, this started out as a halfway transparent thing with the carbon fiber down below, but I changed it up. So the color only changed a slight bit because I think the orange that I have on the decal is a tad darker. Never mind, I want to go into paint. So yeah, this is what it initially looked like. And then with the decal, I could theoretically do something like this. Let's get a bit of hue in here. This might even be too much already. But yeah, in the end I figured that I just like the flat color more. I could even go down to something like this, where it's... You can basically see the color that it's supposed to be, but there's already the stripes down below. But yeah, in the end, I didn't like that they all go this direction. I would have liked this side to be the other way around. Or maybe even make it like a V shape, so this side comes in from here, this side from there. But as it is, yeah, it wasn't really for me. So this is what it looks like now. And here in the paint, I just go for this thing. Doesn't really matter too much because everything is covered up anyways, but yeah, you get the idea. I just set the underlying color to something similar so that from a distance it doesn't look too weird. Because from a distance you don't get the decals, so it's somewhat different. Come on. Must be because it's my own one, but usually the draw distance, I mean, you've seen that time and time again in the videos. It's not that amazing. I hope they can update this at some point, but for some reason, when I want to show this to you, of course, it's the most amazing draw distance ever seen. But yeah, this thing is fun and I love how the whole livery turned out. Anyways, enough about that. Next time we are going to go into tuning for a different car. And until then, I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, have a good one and bye bye.